how amazing was that introduction? If I didn't know any better, I'd say these episodes were going professional. In all seriousness though, I have got to thank Queen of Obscure Pairings for making that introduction for me. Really, Your Majesty, you are too kind to this old man. It looks absolutely wonderful, and I'm completely chuffed to bits that you would do something for me. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart. And to all of you out there, make sure you go by Queen of Obscure Pairings' YouTube channel and give her some love, because she really is quite a sweetheart. So thank you once again for your hard work. I do love it. But now let's get to the real reason why you all are here. The letter. Well, speaking of Queen of Obscure Pairings, she has written to us as well. Oh darn, Undertaker, you got me there. I think I've been looking at fan art far too much, hehehe. Plus, I choose not to pay attention to the other Reapers. I now believe my brain somehow processes gloves as flesh. Why, I think I even asked the question to begin with? I could have sworn they had no gloves. Can we say Mandela effect? Hehe. But, I'm being perfectly truthful. I merely watch the anime and read the manga solely for you. Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. Thank you very much for that, Your Majesty. So, looking for an apprentice or coffin buddy for those cold, lonely, rainy nights? I'm available. But all things aside, look up Mandela effect. It would be a very interesting read for you. Well, listen to you over here trying to get all cuddly with me. Unfortunately, I don't believe I'm looking for an apprentice at this point in time, and coffins do get a little bit cramped when you have more than one person in it. That being said, if you ever wish to stop by, I'll be sure to fit you for one of your own. It'll be nice and cozy, I promise you. Well, thank you, Your Majesty, for your question. I greatly appreciate it. Next, Brenda says, nice. Did you do something with your hair? It looks shiny. Well, thank you for noticing, Brenda. Why, yes, I have had it washed and conditioned here rather lately. You see, when your hair gets as long as mine does, you have to take good care of it, or else it might end up looking somewhat of a rat's nest. So, every once in a while, I will give it a nice washing and conditioning, and it smells divine, and it looks just as good. So thank you very much for noticing, and thank you for your comment, Brenda. It was very sweet of you to notice. Robert says, good to hear from you again, Undertaker. Glad to hear you are back in the USA. Looking forward to seeing you here again. Well, Robert, as you very well know, I do love the USA. Lots of interesting people and fun things to do there. So I will most definitely be back very soon. Don't you worry about that. Thank you very much for your comment, Robert. Burrito Girl 13 says, Mick Ribs needs his own fan club. I'd join any day. You hear that, little guy? You've got more fans. Well then, let us make it so today. Officially, the McRibs Appreciation Club begins. Be sure to get your membership today. We'll have ourselves a parade and everything. It'll be great. Thank you very much, Burrito Girl, for that comment. I'm sure McRibs loves it, don't you? Yes, he says thank you very much. Again, not very much of a talker. Next, Brandy says, good day to you, Undertaker. Well, good day to you, Brandy. Time for a question. Oh, good, I love questions. What do you have for me? What is your favourite ceremony or ritual involving death? Being a former Grim Reaper, I'm sure you've seen many rituals over your lifetime. Care to share? Here's payment. Dave's parrot was always using bad language, so he asked the vet how he could stop it. Every time the bird swears, put it in the freezer for 15 seconds, advised the vet. The next time the parrot uttered an expletive, Dave did as the vet said. Then, feeling guilty, Dave opened the freezer. Shivering, the parrot came out saying, I'm sorry for all the bad language I've been using. Dave was astounded at the sudden change. Then the parrot said, by the way, what did the chicken do? Oh, I see what you did there, because the freezer and the frozen chicken. Oh, that was a lovely one, Brandy. Thank you very much. Well, I've enjoyed that one so much that I've decided to grant you information. So, what is my favourite type of ceremony or ritual involving death? Well, out of all the ones that I've seen in my time, I'll have to say that the ancient Egyptians had a pretty interesting way of death, especially if you were royalty. If you ruled over Egypt, you spent your entire lifetime preparing for your death. having your servants build a gigantic tomb that you would be laid to rest in. And once you were there, they took all of your fancy trinkets and belongings and put them in there with you. And then when your favoured servants died, they were buried with you. All in the notion that they thought you could take everything with you when you passed on to the next life. I don't know if they got it right, but it certainly was a flashy affair, was it not? So there you go. My favourite ritual has to be all of the rigmarole that happens when an ancient Egyptian ruler passes. Thank you very much for your question and for your joke, Brandy. That one delighted me so. Sebastian writes back again. Hello, my good sir. Sebastian here. Hello, Sebastian. Thank you for your prompt response. It was very enlightening. I do have another question, though. Well, hopefully I'll have another answer for you. The young master and I were investigating a death and found that the gentleman had died an hour before from alcohol poisoning, but the body remained warm even in the cold night air. I would think he would have grown cold right away. Would you be so kind to explain this, for you see, the Queen is asking and I have run out of answers. And now for your payment. It's a little something I overheard. Give a man a match, and he'll be warm for a few hours. Set him on fire, and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. And what a short life it would be! But you are not wrong. For the rest of his life, he would be very warm. And probably screaming his burning head off, too. Talk about closed casket, eh? Alright, Sebastian, so you're asking me a serious question. That's what I like about you. You're always making me use my old noodle. Making me have to think. So your question is, why is the body still warm an hour after you found him? Well, it all has to do with death on the cellular level. You see, once the body dies, the cells are suddenly deprived of oxygen and nutrients and everything that they need to live. So in desperation, they begin consuming things around them. This process occurs on a higher level as well, closer to the surface. So that causes the body temperature to rise. Now, when the subject in question consumes alcohol, the odds of this process happening increases. So because your gentleman here died of alcohol poisoning, the odds of this particular process happening did occur. So now you can run to Her Majesty and tell her all about this. Of course, if you ask anybody else, they're not going to be able to tell you anything. But because you asked me, I have connections, you see, so I can give you the answers. Thank you very much for that question, Sebastian, and for that little joke. That was quite delightful as well. Finally, we have Serah. Oh, you must be a newcomer. Welcome, Serah. Good evening, Undertaker. Good evening to you as well. I just found your videos, and I must say I absolutely love them. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm glad that me little ramblings here can entertain you. That leads me to a question. Oh, good, I love questions. How do you post your videos to YouTube if you live in the 19th century? Sorry, I had to. And now for a bit more serious question. What is the origin of your scars? Some time ago, I read a conversation between a few people on a certain page, and someone said, talking about the scar across your lovely face, well, I'll bet he always tells some badass story, for example, how he fought a demon or so. But I'll bet he, in reality, just sneezed while shaving. So what's the truth? That's all for today. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your videos. Have a nice day. Well, thank you very much, Serah, for that. And again, I'm glad that you enjoy me little ramblings here. As for your question, the origin of me scars. Well, I have to tell you, it's not quite as grandiose as your friends may believe. And it's also not quite as simple as I sneezed while shaving. Though that would be a funny story to tell, wouldn't it? So the origin of me scars, really, it was a matter of necessity. You see, when I became an Undertaker, I needed to hone my skills. But I had no clients, no guests, no customers. So I had to practice somehow. So I decided to practice on myself. So I simply took a scalpel, picked a few choice areas on my body, got scars all over the place really, I'm not going to show you all of them, and began to practice. I chose the one across me lovely face, as you say, because of the contours of the cheekbone and the cartilage of the nose. It gave me a few different surfaces to work with when trying to sew myself back up. As for the throat, that one was a matter of urgency. How fast could I put myself back together before I passed out from blood loss? And the only one that isn't quite as grandiose is the one on my little finger, and that one occurred very early on in my life. I was trying to be flashy with me death scythe, and I was spinning it around all cool like, trying to be awesome, and when I went back to grab it, I accidentally grabbed the wrong part of it, and the blade sliced my finger. Almost took it off, but luckily, in haste, I was able to save it. Not my best work, but that's exactly why I practiced. So now, as you can plainly see, I'm quite good at it. So I hope that answers your question, Serah. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you all for your questions, comments and jokes. I always enjoy hearing from you. That's going to do it for our letter today. Looks like you all had some pretty involved questions for me this time. I love it. It made me have to think. I had to use my noodle, and it really challenged me. I do love a good challenge, don't you know? So until we meet again, be seeing you then. Ta-ta!